Hey guys, so in today's video we are going to be tracking the performance of my June and my July stock picks. I'm going to start with my July stock picks since those are the most recent, and then after I've tracked the performance of those, I will go over the performance of my June stock picks. And like I always say, 1 month performance is not a huge deal because you should be investing for the long term for the next 2 years, the next 5 years. But I still like to track them monthly and update you guys on the performance of my picks after 1 month and after 2 months. And I'm going to continue making these videos every month. But don't be alarmed if a stock is down a lot after a month. Don't be overly happy if a stock is up a lot over a month. If it's down a lot, maybe consider buying more. And if you're new to the channel, I make videos on the stock market and investing. So if you're interested in that, consider subscribing. And let's get right into the video. Starting off at number 1, the first stock that I recommended to buy in July was Nike stock. I recommended this on June 21st. So since then, the stock is up 13.54%. So that's great monthly gain. They beat earnings here and they jumped about 11% after they beat earnings because everyone was expecting a bad earnings and they really came through and delivered on earnings, and so it jumped quite a bit. And so this is great. I love having a stock go up like 13% the month after I buy it. But like I said, I'm investing for the long term, so 1 month doesn't have a huge effect on the overall returns of my portfolio. But it's great to see a nice jump right after I buy a stock. Next stock that I recommended was STOR Capital. And I recommended them on June 21st. And since then, they are up 14.7%. That's another great monthly return. They jumped here because Warren Buffett bought a 10% stake in the company. So that's great to have him behind the company. It gave them a lot of new capital to use to continue growing. So that's another great monthly return from the pick. The third pick that I made was Gilead Sciences. I recommended this in June as well, and then re-recommended it in July. And it was on June 21st that I made the pick, and since then it is up almost 10%. So that's another great return to see in 1 month from a stock. But like I always say, 1 month is not a huge deal. Don't put too much emphasis on 1 month performance. See how the stock is doing in several years. So that's why I'm going to keep tracking my old picks. So after I'm done going through the July picks, I'm going to go back and share with you guys how the June picks did this month, because it's really important to continue following these stocks for the years after you buy them, because that's really when the returns are important. 1 month of returns is not that important, but how the stock performs over the next several years is what's really important. Fourth stock that I recommended was Shire. And they haven't done as well as, or this one hasn't done as well as the first 3 picks. I still like it. I recommended it in June as well, and it's kind of continued to go down, but I still think it is a good company. So this one in the last month since I recommended it is down 3.5%. Not a huge deal. I still like the company, but just down over the last month. All right, and the fifth and final pick that I made for July is Omega Healthcare Investors. This is more of a dividend stock. As you can see down here, the yield on them is about 7.7%. But since June 21st, they are down 0.66%, not a huge deal at all. I'm still a fan of the company. I like where they are going, and I think that they're a good opportunity. So slight downturn is really not a problem. Now we are looking at the Spider S&P 500 ETF to look at our performance compared to the S&P 500. So since June 21st, the ETF is up a total of 1.55%. So without dividends, the July stock picks returned 6.104%. So that is a great outperformance of the S&P 500. So like I did last month, what I'm going to do to calculate dividend yield is just take the yield of the stock and divide by 12 to adjust it for the average monthly payout from the stocks. This is easier than finding out what companies had their ex-dividend dates during the month and then calculating the dividends that we got from them. Plus, these stocks all are meant to be held for more than a year, so it doesn't exactly matter when we're getting the dividends. So the S&P 500 with dividends returned 1.706%, which is decent returns, but we definitely beat that. And our July picks with dividends returned 6.391%, which is a tremendous 1 month performance. I'm definitely very happy with that. And that is a 4.685% outperformance, which is really nice to see over the course of 1 month. That is a great total outperformance. All right, so now it is time to go over the 2-month performance of our June picks, and again, I will compare that to the S&P 500. Stock that I recommended to buy in June was LyondellBasell Industries. I recommended this on May 21st. I'll just do May 22nd since that's what the Google Finance is letting me do. But since then, it is up 7.88%. It also has a 4.16% dividend. So great 2-month performance from them. In the last month since June 21st, they've also been up 8.8%. So that's great to see as well. So overall, really good performance from LyondellBasell so far. Stock that I recommended for June was Delta Airlines. Recommended them on May 22nd, and since then they are up 7.82%. So that's great 2-month performance from them. They have pulled back recently, but I still think it's a very solid company. In the last month, they are pretty much flat, but still up since I recommended them. And like I said, they're a good company. I'm still a fan of them. Stock that I recommended to buy in June was Shire Pharmaceuticals, and again, they are kind of the loser of all my picks so far. I still like them as a company. They're still a good company. Just because they're down doesn't really mean that much. I like them long term. And like I always say on companies that are up and on companies that are down, 1 month, 2-month performance doesn't really matter. It's how they've performed or how they perform in the next 2-3 years that really matters. So they've been down 12% in the last 2 months. So definitely a pretty big loser there. I still like them. I still think they're a solid company. So nothing to fear with this one. Just short-term market movements. If you haven't bought in and you like the company, it still could be a decent time to buy in right now if you like where they're going in the future and all of that. So down 12%. Fourth stock that I recommended for June was ExxonMobil. And since then, they are down 2.4%. Not really a huge deal. I still like ExxonMobil. I still think it is a great company and it's an attractive valuation right now. So it's pretty much flat. They have a good dividend. I think that as oil prices go up, they will perform really well. And even if oil stays relatively low, they are integrated. And so they have their refining segment and their chemical segment, which keeps the company stable even with low oil prices. So it's really all in all a great company and it's well run. So being down 2.42% is really not a big deal. That I recommended for June was Gilead Sciences, and this has been a real winner. If you bought it on May 22nd, the day I made the video, then you would have pretty much bottomed it, and it would be up 15.25%. So that's really great 2-month performance from Gilead. I thought the company was tremendously undervalued. I still think it is relatively undervalued, but a great company. I'm very, very pleased with this 2-month performance. But like I always say, we need to keep watching it, and hopefully in the next 2 to 3 years it will continue to perform well. The performance over 2 months really is not a huge deal. Stock that I recommended for June was Realty Income, and since then they are up 5.1%, which is great, especially because they have that nearly 4.5% dividend yield, and they pay monthly dividends. So if you bought this, you have already received 1 month of dividends, and I think you've probably bought in before the ex-dividend date of next month, so you're set in to receive your second dividend from them already. And so hopefully if you own Realty Income, you're reinvesting those dividends because dividend reinvestment is really important. But overall, great performance from Realty Income, up 5.19%. The final stock that I recommended for June was Phillips 66. And since then, in the last 2 months, they are up 5.19%. So more great performance from Phillips 66, definitely happy with that. All right, so now we are looking at the S&P 500 ETF. This is the symbol is SPY. It is run by Spider. So since I made the recommendations on May 22nd, the S&P 500 is up a total of 3%. So without dividends included, our June pick 2-month performance is 3.93%. And then without dividends, the S&P 500 2-month performance was 3.01%. And then with dividends, the S&P 500 returned 3.32% over the last 2 months. And then with dividends included, the June stock picks returned 4.43% over the last 2 months. And then over the last 2 months, the June stock picks outperformed the S&P 500 by 1.11%. So it's not crazy outperformance, but it is still solid outperformance. I'm happy with that for sure. So finally, the June and the July picks outperformed the S&P 500. So that is very great. The July picks outperformed by more than the June picks, but I'm happy personally with just about any outperformance of the S&P 500. So thank you guys for watching. I'm kind of going to be busy over the next week or two, so the uploads might not be every other day like I've been trying to do. And I'm definitely going to make a stocks to buy in August video as well, but that might be a little later than I normally put them out. I normally try and get them out on like the 21st or 22nd of each month, but that one might be coming out more around August 1st, so sorry for the delay on that. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like down below and consider subscribing.